The subject for this video is going to be semicircles. A semicircle is what you get when you take exactly half of a circle, the prefix semi meaning half. So I'd like to consider the following example of a circle. We're going to try to go nice and basic with it. This is x squared plus y squared is equal to 9. This would be a circle where the center is at the origin and the radius is equal to the square root of 9. That'll be 3. So if I were to actually draw this thing, I'll go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Extend 3 units down the axes in both directions, and then try to draw something kind of round that passes through all of these. All right, not too shabby, but not great. So semicircles would be what you get if you were to take only half of the circle. That is to say, you could do the upper half, the lower half, the right half, or the left half. Now the way that we do so is we solve for a variable. For example, let's say that I wanted to head back up here for a moment and solve for the y variable. I would start by subtracting x squared from both sides. Then I would take the square root of both sides. Now, as we saw in a previous video, when you take the square root of both sides, we're going to wind up with y is equal to plus or minus the square root of 9 minus x squared. Now, whether you're talking about the positive square root or the negative square root is going to determine which semicircle you're talking about. So, for example, if we took y equals the positive square root of 9 minus x squared, what we're claiming is that we are only dealing with positive values of y. Positive values of y would only exist within quadrants 1 and 2. So we would only be talking about the top half of the circle. Whereas if we were to do y is equal to the negative square root of 9 minus x squared, that would be referring to where all of the values of y are negative. That, of course, would be the bottom half of the circle. Quadrants 3 and 4 are where y is negative. Now with that in mind, if we decided to solve for the x variable instead, we would get a very similar expression. It would be x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 9 minus y squared. I'll let you try that algebra out for yourselves. In this case, we're saying that the x values would have to be positive since we're dealing with only the positive square root. X is positive in quadrants 1 and 4. Therefore, we would be talking about the right half of the circle. Whereas if we were to say x is equal to the negative square root of 9 minus y squared, we'd be talking about only values of x that are negative. X is negative in quadrants 2 and 3. Therefore, we would only be talking about the left half of the circle. So anytime you want to talk about only half of a circle, called a semicircle, the way that you do so is you solve for one of the given variables. The plus or minus determines which 2 quadrants the semicircle will lie in.